Old Chicago. I'm sure a lot of you have been there, but let me tell you exactly why I think Old Chicago is so delicious. By letting you know and describing what I usually eat when I'm there. I usually start off with a nice cold new Belgian brewery beer. I follow that with a large hot Hawaiian pizza. And of course, you got to finish the night off with one of their delicious Old Chicago big cookies, right? Adam's nodding his head because he knows it's really good. You don't have to take our word for it. This is actually right from the menu here. This is how Old Chicago describes this big cookie. There's no cookie jar big enough for this rich homemade chocolate chip creation. Served piping hot in a pizza pan. It's a must-share treat for 2 to 3 people, or just one. Add ice cream if you like, and I usually do. Now, I love this chain restaurant, but if you think that I'm here to persuade you tonight to run out and go eat at Old Chicago tonight, well, you're wrong. In fact, just the opposite. As much as I love chain restaurants, what if I told you that there are delicious, tasty alternatives? Places that you can go to that actually keep your dollars local. Places that serve fresh, flavorful food. Places that have unique atmosphere and employees that are actually knowledgeable in the food and the drinks that they serve. Well, these places do exist, and I want to tell you about them tonight. I'm here tonight because I am passionate about promoting the benefits of eating at local restaurants. Now, one of my favorite local restaurants out there is in Lodo, Vesta Dipping Grill. Has anybody ever been there before? Yeah, it's a really good place. At Vesta Dipping Grill, it's all about the extensive knowledge of the employees. One of the things I also love about it is there's really only one Vesta Dipping Grill out there. So you don't have to worry about going to Vesta Dipping Grill, spending your hard-earned cash and worrying about that money going to the Vesta corporate headquarters in Tallahassee or wherever it might be. Now, in addition to that, what impresses me most about Vesta, is, like I mentioned before, is the quality of service. The quality of service that its employees provide. They know the food and the drinks that they serve at Vesta like the back of their hand. It's really impressive. When you go to Vesta, you order an entree, and you get a bunch of different dipping sauces that go nicely with that entree. And the employees there, they're more than happy to help you expertly pair up that entree with the dipping sauce. And I tell you, you're probably not going to find that extensive kind of knowledge at an Olive Garden. Now, one of my other favorite local restaurants is if you head right up 36 into Boulder, go to Brasserie 1010. That's on Walnut Street, another really good place. At the Brasserie 1010, it's all about fresh. In fact, when you walk in the lobby, they have this giant vase of flowers, fresh flowers, that they rotate out probably every few days. But of course, it's really about the fresh food at Brasserie 1010 in Boulder. And another thing, you can actually go right up to the kitchen. There's some glass right there that separates the eating area from the kitchen. You can watch the chefs prepare all this fresh food right before your eyes. Here's some items from their menu that really, I think, shows how fresh their food is. How about the noix salad? Walnut crusted chicken, arugula, roasted beets, strawberries, goat cheese, onions, and a truffle citrus soy vinaigrette. Oh boy, yeah. It gets better. How about the coco ben? Petaluma Farms red wine braised chicken with sauteed mushrooms, caramelized cipollini onions, Long Farms bacon, chèvre cheese, braising jus, and pomme lyonnaise. By the way, that's only $9.95, that salad. So, in addition to freshness, they also have really good value. You're probably not going to find that kind of freshness at a TGI Fridays. I go to Oklahoma City a lot for my job, and one of my favorite local restaurants down in Oklahoma City is the County Line Barbecue. And at the County Line Barbecue, it's all about the atmosphere and the history. What's unique about the County Line Barbecue is that it used to be a speakeasy and a brothel, which is just fascinating to me. But one of the things that interests me most about the County Line Barbecue in Oklahoma City is it's haunted. You don't get much better than that, right? I was actually earlier last year, I was talking to the bartender, and he was telling me all the ghost stories that he had. I was just fascinated about the flash rack above the bar rattling uncontrollably, the orbs of light flashing across the restaurant. And He told me too about one night when he was closing up. These things always seem to happen when you're closing up, right? How he's at one end of the restaurant and he heard this noise. He heard some people fighting and chairs breaking. It sounded like a bar fight, so we went back in the bar area. Of course, nothing was back there. So it's really just amazing stuff. That is history and that is atmosphere that you're not going to find at an Applebee's. And I actually found out, unfortunately, just a couple weeks ago, this local restaurant closed. So again, you gotta support these local places. And finally, there's a local restaurant in Hagerstown, Maryland, right down the road from where my parents live. And I was there Christmas, last year Christmas. And after dinner, I had the pleasure of talking to the owner of the restaurant. And he was telling me how hard it was for him, how much hard work he had to put in to get this restaurant started. But because of that, he has pride. He has pride in what his employees serve, the food. He has pride in what the employees actually do there. You're probably not going to find that kind of pride at the Cheesecake Factory. And the list goes on and on. Those are just a few examples there. The Rio in Boulder for their margaritas. Bloom at Flatirons Mall for their coziness and their value. The Cruise Lounge in Denver for their atmosphere and, of course, their martinis that are out of this world. So my goal tonight is not to dissuade you from eating at your favorite chain restaurant. Because God knows I want that Old Chicago's Big Cookie as much as the next guy. But here's my challenge. Just once in the next 12 months, when you and your family have that urge to go to a chain restaurant, instead of going to that chain restaurant, go to a local restaurant instead. These places have the character, the freshness, value, history, atmosphere, and pride. And I want to see these local restaurants succeed. And I want you and you and you to help me make them successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Take a minute.